We're in a place scientifically where we have to act, and not only do we have to take it as an emergency here, unless you're talking about a state of emergency, unless you're going to go to the communities and understand how it impacts the places that have basically had pollution thrust on them, poor communities, low-income communities, communities of color. If you're not leading internationally, it's not going to happen. Anyone who thinks that we can solve this problem in the United States of America doesn't understand this problem. And if you think we can go to India and we can go to China and say, we want you to solve the climate problem unless we're all in to solve the climate problem ourselves, then I think you're being completely unrealistic. As an American, I believe every generation's job is to pass on a better world for their kids, a chance for them to have more opportunities, to have a more meaningful life, to have a safer life, to be able to go further. We are taking a very real risk of handing on a world that's unsustainable to our children, which would be unbearable for me.
Sir, what would your first steps be as president?
There's a huge thing about climate that people don't talk about much, and that is immigration and forced movement. You know, we had 5 million people move from Syria to Europe. They actually originally went into the cities in Syria because of a gigantic drought. Then there was political injustice, and then they fled the regime. When you look at Central America, they've had a huge drought before there was political unrest, and they fled the regime. Look, 2 of the countries in the world that are most exposed going forward are China and India. They're talking about 2 billion people having to move. Can you imagine the world if 2 billion people had to, didn't have a choice, but had to move? I don't know where they'd go, but I can tell you it would be chaos.